Charlie Kirk has this tweet. A year after Elon Musk bought Twitter, he finally explains why. He says that the niche ideology that turned San Francisco into a zombie apocalypse would historically be geographically isolated, and the fallout would therefore be limited. But Twitter gave that philosophy an information technology weapon, which it could use to spread that mind virus to the whole planet unopposed. In order for the mind virus to propagate, it must suppress opposing viewpoints. Rogan says because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny, and Musk says correct. I'll just play the clip for you. It's 2 minutes long.
You've owned X for a year now.
The costume.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's he wearing? Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and have a dream that you didn't do it? And your life is infinitely easier?
Well, it's certainly a recipe for trouble, I suppose, or contention.
What was it ultimately that led you to make the decision to do it?
I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization. That it was just having a bad impact.
It still is.
And I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco. And while I think San Francisco is a beautiful city, and we should really fight hard to kind of right the ship of San Francisco. If you've walked around downtown San Francisco, right near the FK Twitter headquarters, it's a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's rough. Have you been in that area?
Not lately. No.
Yeah.
I've heard.
It's crazy.
I've heard it's crazy. I've heard you really can't believe it until you actually go there.
You can't believe it until you go there. So now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. So, a philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the sort of the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information weapon, information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth. And the outcome of that mind virus is very clear if you walk around the streets of downtown San Francisco.
So, I mean, really, he hits the nail on the head. If you look at San Francisco, the human feces everywhere, the ridiculous real estate prices, it's a wasteland of failed policy. But because so much information control was centralized there, information systems, it was piping that I would call it like fecal data, the equivalent of feces in data form into the brains of people. And it was just melting their brains and tainting them with the mind virus. You look at San Francisco and you can see that ideology is and has been popping up all over this country. Elon is trying to shut it down. I still think he's got a long way to go.
Beyond that, there's also just failed governmental policy that plays a huge role in that. If we're looking at DAs who aren't prosecuting violent crime, people who are I'd actually be interested to know what your position is as a libertarian. Go ahead.
But it's the policy is because of social media.
It's the ideology.
People getting elected. That
it was the free speech wing of the free speech party, and then it turned into a campus safe space for a bunch of whiny baby millennials.
But look at who's opposing Elon Musk now. He's gotten a lot of pushback from the woke cartel, as I call it. And one of the major pushbacks he's getting is from the ADL. I mean, he had to sue them because they really wrecked his business in the beginning, ruining his advertising base, pulling all these advertisers out. Now, what is that about? So we're looking at it, this mind virus is in the establishment, and it includes trying to squelch speech, and it includes critical discourse about some very serious issues.
And groups like the ADL that have all of this kind of power in the system because they're automatically perceived by anyone who isn't aware of what's going on as a net force for positive good in the world, when we know that it's been weaponized time and time again against various people who just happen to have ideas that they disagree with.
So you were a leftist professor.
Yes, I was.
And you broke out of this because you said the left traumatized you.
Yeah, they traumatized me.
What did they do?
They came after me.
Called you
like
racist?
I started criticizing all this social justice woke stuff on campus. For example, they the no platforming, the bias reporting hotline. That was a big one. They instituted this like reporting spy system in which the students could report on you for making a woke infraction, what they call a bias infraction. And I thought it was like a Stasi state system.
Yeah.
And I spoke up about it. I would not put the phone number or the email address of this bias reporting hotline on my syllabi. Okay, so then I was interviewed. I started this Twitter account. It's now been canceled. Before Elon took over, but I can't get it back. It was called Anti-PC NYU Prof. And I started tweeting criticisms of all this from the standpoint of a professor at NYU was interviewed.
And Twitter banned you?
Not yet.
No, but I mean,
they did ban it
They
eventually.
eventually banned this profile.
Yes, they did.
Wow.
Yeah. And I haven't been able to revive it even after Elon's takeover. But then I did this interview and I criticized all this stuff publicly. And within 2 days, the dean calls me into the office, coerces me into a leave of absence. The diversity, equity, and inclusion group condemns me. I get a bunch of blistering emails from faculty saying that I was alt-right, Nazi, short pants, white devil, all kinds of ludicrous things, racist, sexist, the whole 9 yards.
Anti-gay.
Now, today, I would just, what I'd write back is LOL. But then I actually cared what these people thought.
Just remember, the people tearing down those photos of the Israelis would actually be the ones calling you a Nazi.
Probably,
back
yeah.
then. So
Yeah, they would.
yes.
Well, so at the time, what did you do? You wrote an apology or something?
Oh, no. No, I wrote Springtime for Snowflakes for one. Okay. And I stood up to them. And I eventually sued them. I sued NYU and 5 professors that were libeling me all through the official NYU listservs. And eventually they settled with me. You know how I got them to settle? You'll love this. They threw out they filed a motion to dismiss the case, and my lawyers could not overtake this huge army of attorneys that NYU had. So I invited Milo Yiannopoulos to speak in my classroom. Listen to this, on Halloween itself, okay? And the topic of the talk was going to be how you're not allowed to wear a Halloween costume for one night, but you can change your gender by day. Okay, that was the topic. And they shut it down. Guess this. De Blasio actually intervened and shut down my classroom himself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What did he do? Send
He
police?
called NYU and said this is too dangerous to take place. Now, of course, we know the danger was coming from Antifa, who actually put a target on my back and through Twitter were threatening to kill me.
Wow.
I've been told that Antifa is not even a real thing. It's not even a real group.
Oh, it's just an idea.
It's just an idea.
It's an idea that's in a lot of people's heads to make them act like Antifa.
To what you said, though, like what you went through kind of circles the point of what you're saying is like if you push back, most people don't have the resources to go against groups like this, which have massive budgets, endowments, whole groups, cadres of lawyers to back up.
I
and this has been propagating for decades.
I touched the third rail, that there was significant power behind that. And I realized at that point that this social justice, or what we now call wokeness, was really the power. This was embedded in the power structure.
If everybody who is currently facing a criminal proceeding pleaded not guilty, the system would collapse.
Really?
Yeah, the system relies on people taking plea bargains, and so that's why the system, in my view, is completely unconstitutional. It's I'm familiar with the jury tax or the trial tax. Some people call it different things. The idea being that they will always say to you, whatever it is you've committed, you're getting the maximum.
Right.
It's like, oh, you were speeding. That's, you were going 20, you were going 30 over the limit. That's felony territory. You're getting a year in prison, and we're going to make sure that when you're convicted, you get it or plead guilty.
Accelerates the process. So they could funnel more people through.
Because they don't. It's impossible to act. Well, it's because nobody wants to do the work. And so this is a huge failure of our system. It's supposed to be difficult and expensive to make sure we uphold justice.
Yeah.
But you see, we got a lot of people who don't want to deal with it. They're lazy. I don't know you. I don't care. Used to be that if a cop stopped you, and I mean like early days of cops, people knew the cop in their neighborhood. Or you had a sheriff, or a constable, I guess, and they knew the people, and and social scrutiny played a role in whether or not they would be abusive.
Most cops
Now-
don't even live in the area. that they
Absolutely.
patrol
And
now.
so when COVID happened and Attila's gym stayed open, the local cops said, have a nice day, everybody.
Exactly.
So they pulled in cops from a different city who said, we are now going to start putting the boot on your neck.
Yeah, this is why in my campaign is a promotion of localization and decentralization to wrest control from the central government, vested in the people at the local level, and then nullify unconstitutional laws and mandates that are coming down. Yeah.
How many departments, cabinet level departments, would you get rid of if you won?
Cabinet level. Oh, that's nice. I get to the cabinet level departments after I get rid of the IRS, the CIA, the ATF, the FBI, of course, the Fed.
There we go.
Etc.
And the first one, the Fed.
The Fed is obviously the big monster, okay? But it's not as easy to get rid of as it's just go in and axe it. You have to get an act of Congress. But in the meanwhile, we can erode its power by promoting parallel currencies, Bitcoin, etc. And that means you wrest the power away from this money monopolist. And you use currencies on your own in the local communities or across communities. This erodes their power base as a monopolist.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.